Picture this, 1922, a crowded Japanese stage. A foreign boxer steps into the ring, confident in his Western style. Across from him stands Motobu Chōki, an Okinawan fighter most had never heard of. One explosive burst later, the boxer is down and the fight is over. The newspapers went wild. But what they didn't tell you is that this wasn't sport karate. This was something built for doorways, hallways, and the close quarters where real violence happens. Today we're diving into Motobu Ryu, a style shaped by two brothers who took karate in radically different directions. One created a palace method for protecting nobles in tight corridors. The other stripped down fighting to 12 brutal exchanges that started at touching distance. Together they built something modern dojos can barely contain. Stay with this, because what makes it dangerous isn't flashy technique. It's the range, the grip, and the finish. Learn the hard way, in rooms with real edges. Started in Naha and Shuri in the early 20th century. Market streets, tea houses, gate yards with stone posts and narrow doors. The Motobu family moved in both worlds. Motobu Ryu coached a courtly method built for halls, steps, and escort work. Motobu Chōki, the younger brother, trained hands that worked in rough rooms and public matches. People remember the headline beats because they paint a clear picture. In 1922, Chōki fought a Western-style boxer on a Japanese stage and won in one burst. The next year, he opened a dojo in Osaka and taught what he actually used: simple range, short steps, forearms that meet, and hands that do not stop once they touch. Here is the frame both men worked inside. Okinawa had a local habit called tagumi, which is a blend of stand-up grappling and clinch wrestling. It sat beside striking. If you know tagumi, you are not afraid of grips and shoulders. Add meo tode, the paired hands that strike and control together, and you get an approach that chooses the inside. Chōki tied that feel to Naihanchi, a close-range kata that teaches short power on a lateral base. He called Naihanchi the center of his karate. He also preserved 12-set kumite, partnered exchanges that start from touching distance and move into 3 beats. No long distance, no big wind-up. You enter, you bump, you end the grab. When people call this too sharp for a modern class, they usually mean the targets and the setups. Chōki's notes and early students talk about quick hits to the jaw hinge, the neckline, and the body points that break posture. They finish in a short elbow or a forearm that rides the side of the face while the step takes the center. It reads rough on paper, yet it is only the simple answer to a simple job. Get a person from a doorway to a carriage, stop a rush in a hallway, take a man off his feet before a second one arrives. To understand the close-range feel, start with Naihanchi. Naihanchi is a kata built on short steps that travel side to side while the body stays ready to enter. The drills that sit under it strip the art down to contact. Kaikiri, which is sticking hands, teaches you to keep forearms on forearms while you test lines and timing. Tuidu, which is seize and control, turns a block into a wrist peel or a jaw turn. Kumate, which is a partner exchange, ties the beats into small chains you can do without a big stage or a big floor. Motobu drills look plain and then feel unfair. One sample chain begins with hands already touching. Your forearm rides over the other arm. Your step lands inside his stance. Your shoulder bumps his chest just enough to empty his feet. Your elbow drops through the guard. All of that happens in one stride. Another chain starts after you pick a straight punch with your forearm. Your other hand catches the jawline. Your hips pushes the body into the post behind him. The finish is one more beat if you need it. An elbow if the head is there. A palm into the sternum if you need space to move your client past. None of this needs a jump or a big spin. It needs timing and a room with real edges. Motobu Chōki wrote that Naihanchi should be practiced hard because it unlocks close-range power. He built 12 kumite to keep that promise honest. Those exchanges teach angle with almost no travel. They keep your eyes on the jaw, the neckline, and the grip, rather than on long-range point trading. When you watch a faithful reconstruction of the 12, you see the same map repeat. One step, sticking contact, a short shock from the shoulder or the elbow, then the stance under the other person, breaks. This is the method. It is not wild, it is controlled and direct. It also tests well on pads and against live feeds. You can press a focus pad to a chest, have your partner enter, and feel the same shoulder ram that old notes describe. Then you can stack the elbow and feel why the drill exists. Now shift to the other branch that carried the family name, Motobu Udandi. Motobu Udandi is often called palace hand because it lived with people who had to move nobles through tight spaces and solve trouble without a public mess. The training looks different from big gym karate because it assumes walls, steps, and pillars are part of the work. Steps are short and constant, hands switch from strike to control without leaving the line. The body guides a person into a post, a door frame, or an open patch where escorts can move. The curriculum does not stop at empty hands. It includes Twadi, which is seize and control, weapons, and a way of stepping that never hangs on one foot longer than needed. Footage of Uehara Seikichi, who led this transmission in the 12th century, shows relaxed frames turn solid in one count. A palm that floats for a moment becomes a wedge. A light step becomes a shove that empties the hips under the other person. The finishes look like you barely moved. That is the point on a guard floor with other bodies in the room. You don't need a long throw if the post behind him does the work. You do not want a spinning kick when a small heel turn and a jaw post will put him where he cannot reach your client. The footage also shows how Udandi ties in weapons without changing the map. A hand that rides a forearm becomes a short blade cover. A step that takes the middle with the body becomes a staff entry. The hands and the feet do not change their story when a tool appears. They only get a longer lever. There is even a preserved form called Motobu Udun no Passai. Watch how the lines travel around an imagined court pillar. The steps cross, then settle. The hands leave a target, then return to control. This is the old room inside the set. It reminds you that kata can be a floor plan when you know which parts carry this job. If you are used to big room basics, it feels like a different art. It is the same idea tuned for a room that punishes wide motion and rewards fast control. Modern classes serve families, kids, and tournaments. Rules and mats protect faces, necks, and joints. This is good for safety. It also trims the exact things that give Motobu Ryu its bite. Jaw turns with the thumb line do not fit point rules. Elbows at clinch range draw a penalty. Shoulder bumps into posts do not belong on a sprung floor. Palace hand adds grip that walk a body into a wall. Dojos drop that because the room does not have a wall that you are allowed to use. The result is a public picture of karate that lives far from the original job. The record of the hard parts still survives in writing and in small rooms. Motobu Chōki's material was printed and translated by researchers who care about the original method, with clear notes by Naihanchi on close range and on the 12 partner exchanges. You can read the claims, then test them with pads and a doorway. You can also see living clips from the family side. The Motobu Ryu Udandi clips show the tone of control that a guard needs. Hands do not fly off the line. Steps do not chase distance. The person who starts the rush ends up in the space where he cannot hurt anyone. The Motobu Ryu Kenpo stream, rooted in Naihanchi and partner work, carries the same idea. Look at the entries. They go where rules cannot follow. The head turns, the stance empties. The finish comes before a second person can join the mess. So why call it too dangerous for a modern dojo? Because the method assumes hard edges, unpadded targets, and a duty to end trouble fast. It was made for halls and crowds. It does not teach you to trade long punches from a safe distance. It asks you to step in and take the middle. That choice can turn a class into a risk unless the room and rules match the job. The answer today is simple and careful. Keep the history, keep the drills, use shields and posts that will not break. Teach the control first. Then, only train the full finishes when you have safe equipment. clear rules, and partners who understand the stakes. Motobu Ryu came from places where people had jobs to do. Move a client, stop a rush, leave the room standing. Which piece should we open next? The Naihanchi engine under the strikes? Or a slow look at how the 12 kumite chain together? Drop your pick. On Marshall Road, we follow those shadows. Remember to subscribe, like, share, and see where they lead.